Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Addicts Podcast, Season 2, Episode 7, Take 2. We got a guest last minute, so I want to thank Ryan for stepping in. So Ryan, we'll start out like we always do. Just introduce yourself to everybody, and then we'll get rolling.
I'm Ryan Thompson from Epidode Paranormal out of Ohio.
All right. So I always start out with two just like icebreaker questions just to get everything rolling. So the first one is, what is your favorite location you've been to, and what is your bucket list location? The first one's a two-part question. I should have said that. So what's your favorite location you've been to, and what is your bucket list location?
Oh, God. Favorite location we've been to. Oh, God. I don't have a real favorite one, actually. There's all of them are good. I would like to say Fairfield in Lancaster, Ohio. Fairfield Infirmary. A lot of evidence over there. That's probably one of my favorites. What was the other question?
A bucket list location.
Oh, God, bucket list. Oh, let's see here. Waverly Hills.
Waverly's good. I've actually been there multiple times. It never disappoints. The only downside of Waverly is the price.
That is true.
That's the only downside. But other than that, it's a good location. I plan on going back in 2026 because my team really wants to go. So maybe we can go together. That way you can share with us.
Yeah, I would love to go there. I mean, my team would love to go there.
God, yes.
We also go with another guy. Oh, God, what's his name? His name's Scott, but it's
Beyond the Grave Ghost Hunts.
Beyond the Grave Ghost Hunts.
They're out of Wilmington, Ohio.
Yeah, we're all going to get together and go down here.
Yeah, that's the best way to go there because of the cost. It always helps. Yeah. And my team's a relatively large team. We have 15 members, and it's still kind of costly. So
we got up to 5 right now. We don't really want to have a big group, but because if you go to like in Fairfield, if you have a big group, you're gonna have echoes coming from everywhere else. Yeah. And if you have a smaller group, you know where everybody is.
Yep. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages of both. I like to say sometimes with a larger group, I feel like I'm babysitting. But I mean,
true.
And, yeah. But like to your point about knowing where everybody is, just because I have 15 members don't mean that 15 members always go. Like for my birthday in January, we went to the Monroe House.
Yeah.
That's what we did for my birthday, and I only took 5 people. So so yeah, but yeah, definitely advantage.
You said your birthday is January?
Yes.
January what?
19th.
I'm 14th.
Very cool.
Oh, God, paranormal party going on.
Yeah, party over here. There ain't no party like a paranormal party because a paranormal party don't stop.
Exactly.
So the next icebreaker question is, what is your favorite piece of equipment? And you can't say yourself because we know we're the best piece of equipment. So what's the best? What's your favorite piece of equipment that you had to buy or you was gifted? Yeah.
His
the SLS
is the SLS.
Well, mine's the SLS, but I also like my dowsing rods as well.
I will actually show you mine.
Which one are you going to pull out?
The tripwire.
Tripwires are awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got 2 different SLSs, and
the team has 2 different.
And I got. I love my dowsing rods. My dowsing rods have not failed me.
Yeah, I mean those are pretty nice. I mean those are the best ones so far.
So we'll talk a little bit more about equipment and stuff later on. But I like to get to know all my guests pretty well. So my first main question is, what you guys consider your investigation style? Do you guys consider yourselves like old school investigators, scientific investigators, hybrid? Just what's your investigation style?
Well, me, I'm more of old school.
Come
And
this way, Bill.
I'm myself. I'm kind of my back spot right now. But I'm more. I would say old school and hybrid because I like to be up right in the middle of it, old school way, and be able to show everything to where there's, without a question of doubt, there's nothing that has to be debunked. And when it comes to more updated, I use like my cameras, my phone cameras, other pieces of technology. So for hybrid, that's about what I would go by. What about you?
I'm usually old school. Usually old school for me.
Yeah, we're kind of a hybrid. So I was born with a gift where I could see him and communicate with him. I consider it a gift nowadays. As a kid and a teenager, I didn't necessarily consider it a gift, but nowadays I do. So I definitely like to use my skills. We have a person on our team who her go-to gift is the dowsing rods, like you said, and we have another one that uses the pendulum, and we have all the fancy equipment too. So what I like to say is we use the old school techniques with the new school technology.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, I can hear things. I can see some. You actually see it.
I do see and I do hear. Yes.
Yes.
What I don't like about it is it's all the time.
Right. There's things that you can just sense. Everybody has that sixth sense. You can tell when somebody's creeping up behind you. You can tell when somebody's right next to you. By a temperature change, or by just a static. Electricity, a sound, a vibration. Then you got those that can see the shadows, or what have you. It's all, everybody's got a different into themselves. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got a different intuition.
Right. And I tell people, people come to me like I've been doing this for 33 years. So I'm an OG here in the field. But I got people that come up and they come up to me. They're like, I don't think I have any gifts, but I can sense things now. And I tell them, what you have to realize is,
How you doing, Laura?
I think we're all born with like a sense, but for some reason we lose it. So my personal belief and the theory that I run with is like, once you get back into the paranormal field, you actually start doing it again. You redevelop that sixth sense.
I don't think you actually ever lose it. I think it just lays dormant for a while, and you don't realize that you're actually using it. So I don't feel you ever lose it. I just feel that it's just mentally pushed off to the side. A lot of the times, and you just don't realize that you're using it because it's been used so much by you.
Definitely, that's definitely a better way. It lay dormant. Like you said, you don't really lose it. It's because you don't nurture it, or we have people tell us that we should use it, or ghosts think we're for whatever reason it just lays dormant, but it's always there. And I definitely agree. So like, obviously I like to use the old school thing, but if I'm doing like a residential investigation, I like the scientific method, because it's a lot easier to go to a homeowner and be like, oh, this is what I captured on camera, or this is the EVP I captured.
Exactly.
It's a lot easier to take that to a homeowner than it is, well, this is what I feel is going on here. If you have that proof, it's a lot more reassuring to the homeowner.
I've noticed that when we did a couple residentials, and we've actually had the homeowner there, whoever in the household had said they had seen or heard or felt something in certain areas, we would have them show us that area, and we'd take them to that area and would have them just be quiet and watch and see how we do things. And next, it tends to make a spirit kind of eager to want to do something because that person is actually there. They've already done it to. And we've caught things like that by doing that.
So Laura, she says she uses her third eye. It's wide open, and she sees everything from angels, everything. And so Laura's a magnet. I mean, she's more of a magnet than anybody I've ever seen. She'll send me pictures, and like they just find her. She don't even have to. So yeah, so it kind of like we were talking earlier. Sometimes our gift is a blessing, and sometimes it's not. Like it's almost like the spiritual stalking her. She gets it so much, So yeah.
That picture I sent you. That picture I sent you down at the bottom there. It's from Randolph County or Winchester County, Indiana. It's a Randolph Infirmary.
Yes.
Now, that was during the day, and how I usually take with just a regular camera, not my phone camera or anything, I'll stand around the corner of any building looking down the hallway just in case there's something behind me, like a window or something, but this is just complete concrete. I stuck my hand out like this. I took 2 snapshots. That was one of them.
Now, if you focus on it, you'll notice. Tell us what you see in that picture. If you can see it.
Let me see if I can find the other one.
Yeah. So I mean, this picture, there's no debating on it. So you definitely see a quote unquote shadow figure here. Then you see the shadow of the shadow figure here, which is that's like a Yahtzee, if that's the word you want to use.
Exactly.
Because I mean, so as you can see, and I'm diagnosing this. I hope that's okay. So as you can see, the shadow figure, you can see through them. So it's definitely a shadow figure, but then you obviously see the shadow of the shadow figure here. So, it's obviously, that's definitely a home run there. I mean, So that's definitely a good catch there, right?
That's one of my favorite ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my favorite ones, as far as like a picture, I actually caught with my thermal camera. And the thing I like about thermal cameras is you can't fake a thermal camera. You either get something or you don't. So we were in this. Obviously, as big as my team is, we have to have a place where we train them. So the one of the main places that we train them is an abandoned hospital in Kilroy, Illinois, is up the road from us, and it's been abandoned since 1988. So it's completely gutted, no wires, nothing.
Yeah,
and, So we were investigating one time. We were investigating a bunch, but this one time we were investigating, and we were actually hosting another team there. We was actually hosting JB Coates and her team there. And as we were getting ready to rotate floors, I decided to take a picture with my thermal camera. The only people that was on the floor at that time was me and Dennis and Denise from my team. So I took a picture with a thermal camera, and you got Dennis, you got Denise, then you get a 6'6" human-shaped ink signature.
Cool.
Wow.
See, that's like
I said. So that's one of my favorite catches. So
yeah, we go out with Scott and his team with Beyond the Grave. We had one incident where me and Scott, I do believe we was in the morgue at Randolph. And at the time, he had got poked in his cheek in the one cooler.
Yeah.
He was in the adult cooler where they kept bodies at. I was
no,
over.
It's not Randolph, it's Fairfield.
Fairfield, rather. Excuse me, Fairfield. He was in the cooler where they kept the adult bodies at. I was over next to it in the cooler where they kept most of the time the children's bodies at. And at the time he got poked in his cheek, He was sitting inside, door closed, and all I heard was a loud crack. What the hell? That door come flying open. Now that door, this thick, kid you not, it's this thick, concrete. Okay, and it come flying open. The same time he got poked in the cheek, I got touched in the back of the head and said out. I heard out behind me. I come out of that cooler on my side. He came out at the same time on his. He had on the inside of his mouth where it got poked on the outside there. Coincidental, I don't know. A red like blister on the inside.
Instantly.
Instant. It's like that. That was mouth.
That's crazy.
Now
that's crazy.
Bells. We heard horns. We heard the same kind of bugle in two different places. And
that was actually really good. We were at Randolph the first time. We heard what was like a 19.
It was a Billie Holiday bugle from 1937, 1938.
And it sounded like dee 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 dee, that kind of thing with the bugle.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the same year we went to Fairfield. We heard it again there as well. Same thing.
And him and I was in one room, and we heard it in the hallway. Well, I heard something. He heard a horn. I heard music. I couldn't tell you if it was a horn that I heard. I heard music. He thought he heard a horn. We went back. He went back, and he was listening to the recorders on the cameras.
And you heard hear it.
The exact same horn, that same sound.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess the craziest thing physically that's ever happened to me, of course, obviously having the gift, I've been pushed and touched and had things thrown at me. I'm a magnet for that. My team would tell you, they're like, if anybody's going to get scratched or anything, it's going to be Kent. But the craziest thing that ever happened to me is I actually got bit.
Really?
And I wanted to call bullshit on that. So it's a location that they don't allow investigations anymore. So they actually used to have investigations, and they shut it down for 3 years because of how violent the investigations are. And then they reopened it last year. We were the second team to go investigate it when they reopened it, and then they closed it down again. But the name of it was Anderson Hotel. So
I heard of that.
Yeah. So we went there. So they call it a hotel, but the first thing you have to realize, that's being nice. It's a transit hotel.
Yeah.
Is what it is. The second thing to realize, and I didn't know this going in because it probably would have changed my game plan. They want it to be violently haunted. Okay. So you get there, and of course you do the walkthrough, like you always do. So they have five verified deaths at the hotel, whether they're suicide or murder. And I'm talking about verified, and they're verified by coroner reports, police reports, and newspaper. So I'm talking about verified. So of these 5 deaths there, they have 3 of the bloodstained mattresses still there.
Oh, wow.
They still have the bloodstained bathtub where the one committed suicide. And then the other notorious room, he was an alcoholic who drug himself to the point where he hung himself in the closet. All of his liquor bottles are still there.
Oh, Jesus.
So we do the walkthrough. We find all this. We get all the rundown. So then we get started, and I decide I'm going to start in the room with the bathtub. But the backstory to the room with the bathtub is she was a young, like 33, 32-year-old mother who checked in there to commit suicide because her husband and son had just got killed in the wreck. So like I said, the blood stain's still in the bathtub. Where it's the old-fashioned bathtub, with the claw feet, with the lion's paw. So we're set up. We're videotaping. We're a voice recorder. I got my Paratech. I got my Apple phone. I got everything. So we get in there. I ask permission to get in the bathtub because that's how I investigate. I'm very respectful. So I'm like, can I get in? And the spirit said yes and no. I'm like, well, I can't do both. So I get in the bathtub and I just start doing a normal EVP session, and it goes good for a while. Well, then I get out. well, my rule is, as long as I've been doing this, I'm not getting out the first time you tell me to. I'm there to get answers. But the third time, when I get 3 times, I leave that room. I don't leave the investigation, but I leave. So eventually I get the third get out. So I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to lift myself out of this bathtub, and as I'm lifting myself out of the bathtub, I feel what feels like a really deep Indian burn on my leg, on my calf.
Okay.
And I'm talking about like a really deep one. I mean, like the bully, your high school bully gave it to you when you was in high school. So like that. So we get back to a makeshift base, when we have light, and I get what looks like a double bite on my calf. I actually still have pictures of it. I actually got a tattoo of it just to make sure. And so that's the first thing that happened there. So then we split up into 2 teams, And
right.
So me and Dennis, we go up to the room, the one I mentioned earlier. They call it the blue room, the one with all the liquor bottles. And me being me, I decide to get into to go into the closet where he committed suicide. And as soon as I got in the closet, all the energy was drained from me. I hit the ground just like that.
Right.
So Dennis pulls me out. So we do a little 45 minutes there, and I radio back to the girls. I'm like, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but this spirit does not like females. I'm like, I know you're coming up here next. I was like, I just feel like I need to warn you. So we switch, and my niece. So like I said, the guy lived there, and he was one of those people, malicious. A lot of times when you have a malicious spirit, it's just because they were a dickhead in life. And this guy was just a dickhead in life. He ran prostitutes in and out of the hotel. So my niece is on my team, and at that time she was 19. So she decided to use the prostitute thing with her. So she was like, well, I'm 19 and cute. Can I get a job? And we still have this EVP to the day. One of the best EVPs I ever captured. The EVP said $50 and free room.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I know we got our first investigation is going to be April 5th. It's going to be up in Defiance, Ohio, at Augley's Village. We love it up there. There's nothing malevolent at all. It's all nice.
But the doctor loves him.
The doctor loves him, but anyway. Then we have we're going back to Indiana, to Randolph, in Winchester, Indiana. I think that's May 5th.
Yeah.
I know we're going to go back down to Fairfield because we love it there. And I know we're going to do a couple other things. We would love to do the Mansfield Reformatory. But, like you said earlier, it's the money. And just can't do that.
That's like the one up over in Wheeling, too. The penitentiary over there, Moundsville. They've just jacked the price so high on it, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
unfortunately, so many of these places nowadays have priced themselves out of, people visiting.
Oh,
and, and then what's really bad is when you get ones like Waverly, like we was mentioning earlier, theirs is $2,000 and they want all the money up front.
Yes.
Some of the places, at least like Harriman Hospital and South Pittsburgh Hospital, they're expensive, but at least they let you make a down payment and they pay the rest.
I know I think we're going to go to Post Town middle school or elementary school this year. I know we were planning on doing that, and that one's pretty good too. I've heard a lot of stories about that one.
See, there's a lot of places that screw themselves out of having anybody that wants to come over and investigate it, not just because of the pricing that they want for it, but it's because of teams or groups of individuals that just go and break into it and destroy the place before anybody can actually go in and do anything. So it ruins it for a lot of teams to do a good investigation to find something out for that person that owns the property. So, I mean, it's just like we was going to go to one place and kind of find out we couldn't do it because the people had broken in and had stuff painted on the walls and everything, just destroyed it. And we had
night
the place
before.
booked. Yeah, the night before. And we already had it booked, and it just screwed it for everybody for the longest.
Yeah, it does. I mean, a lot of places in Tennessee nowadays, in order to investigate there, you have to carry insurance.
Yes.
Because in my team, we do carry insurance.
Yeah.
I think it's sad that we have to, but we do. And two things are ruining locations for legitimate teams. One's people going in there destroying it, and the other one is all these YouTubers yelling everything is a demon.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I will not talk about any of that.
Yeah, I know. But then you got the ones that go in there that are respectful, that do, like us. When we go to a place, we look it over. We walk around it during the day, right before. So we're always looking and checking everything out before we even start setting up. As soon as we pull in, we're looking the place over. And we always leave it better than what it was when we got there. If there's stuff all around, we pick it up. It's respect.
Yeah.
It gives that, the feeling to the owners of, hey, they did do this. Maybe they'll let them come back, at a cheaper rate. You always try to leave something better than what it was, when you got there. That respect goes a long way when it comes to doing these investigations.
Laura, if you want to go ahead and add me on Facebook, and we'll go from there. That way I can get it from there. What's next there, boss?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. To me, my team's role is, it's all about respect. You have to respect the living, the not living, the property owner, yeah. And, yeah. So, the thing that's sad is even some of the bigger people that like to yell demon all the time. So we went to investigate Harriman Hospital last year, which, just reopened last year, but it's a hot spot. So instead of filling out your normal 1-page waiver that you have to sign, we had to fill out 3 pages, and including one that said that we wouldn't release any of our video until we let them prove until we showed it to them. And they straight up told us that the reason why we had to do that was because of Sam and Kobe.
Okay.
So,
Right.
I mean, I would like to have the money they have, but honestly, they're just the Spice Girls of the paranormal field. That's what they are. And,
I like that.
I used to say they was. I used to say the boy band, but I was corrected that they were the Spice Girls. Laura Ryan Thompson is his name.
Yeah, I just sent her a request.
He just sent you a request. So yeah. So let's talk a little bit about. It's finally getting better, but the last couple ever since COVID, really, the paranormal field has had a lot of drama in it. Like I said, it's finally improving slowly. But this, without going into details, because I'm not going to give any of those people any more time. They've already took enough of it. So, let me get to Laura's question first, and then we'll get to that one. So Laura asked, "Don't you think it's worse when they rebuild on land?" It can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's Amanda's question. I said Laura, but it's Amanda's question. It can be. There's a lot into that question. So
there is.
I'll answer it first, Ryan, and you can add whatever you want to that. So let's take any location. It's not even rebuild. It can just be adding on to the house that's already there. So again, it goes back to respect. So if you're going to add on to a place that you already know that's active, I tend to use the word active instead of haunted, because people, if you say haunted, everybody always assumes it's a negative. So active. So if you're remodeling a house and you already know that it's active, you definitely have to add. You definitely have to ask the spirits because that could actually make him mad. Same thing with, like let's take Bobby Mackey's for example here in Kentucky. Bobby Mackey's is one of the most active places out there, right? So they finally had to rebuild this year. I mean, they didn't really have a choice. They no longer met the building code, so they had to. So a lot of people are like, where's the spirits at? So it depends. I mean, you have to figure out where the activity comes from. In Bobby Mackey's, a lot of people say that that there's a portal there. So if there's a portal there, the spirits are still there on the land. Which is probably the best theory. I don't really see the building itself having a history, but the portal. So so if the spirits are still on the land, obviously when you build something else, they're still going to be there.
I agree with you. I mean, I was going to bring up the Bobby Mackey's thing too. Yeah, they tore it down, but there's portals there, and hold on. And he's already talking about rebuilding on the same spot. If he does, it's still going to be, the stuff is still going to be there.
It's going to be on one level.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's still going to be there.
They got another wall, he said. I thought it was.
Wall faces, something like that.
Yeah. So it's going to be one level still. Yeah, there's signatures are always going to be there, regardless.
Yeah, it goes back, going back to the Monroe House, nobody really knows why the Monroe House is so active. If it's the land, if it's the house, the Monroe House is actually burnt down.
Yeah.
At least 5 times.
Oh, God.
And so, but the spirits are still there. So So okay, let's get back to my question, and then guys, ask your questions. I will get to them. I promise you. Anyway, there's been a lot of drama since COVID. Like I said, things have started to shift. There's third-party people who were brought in to expose one party, and they ended up finding the truth in it. So it's actually brought things are starting to move, back in the better direction. But why do you think there's been so much drama, and what can we do to fix it, to get rid of it, to bring it back, make it a paranormal community again instead of?
I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, it's a deep question.
Yeah, that's definitely a loaded question. What can we do to get people back interested into the paranormal activity since COVID?
To bring back para-unity, if you want to use that word. So
okay. What we need to do, well, first off, what we're doing right here, podcasts go a long way. Word of mouth goes a long way.
Yeah.
Just talking about it, people overhearing it are going to get curious. That goes a real long way, and staying in contact with other teams to help refortify, I would say, the paranormal community to where it once was is going to be hard, but it can be done. It's just going to take time because you got to think. I don't want to get too political on it, but there's been so much backlash and bad talk about paranormal activity being fake or it's just set up before you do a show. You know what I mean? It's made up. It's not real. Kind of like what they say about wrestling. Okay? But if you can prove what's actually going on by film, by picture, by evidence, period. That's gonna sway the thought, and it's gonna take time, but I think it'll come back around. It'll be back stronger.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. So, Ryan, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just let me add this, and then I'll get back to you. So, I think why it's so important is, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. So, one of the questions I get all the time, like when I when I'm a guest on a podcast or whatever, is what's the difference between the paranormal field now and when I got back into it? And my answer is, back when I got into it, it was all about being a community. We were about helping each other out. We were about and this is still my goal today. My goal is to leave the paranormal field better than it was when I got into it. And that's what we need to get back to.
True. Very true. I think once that happens and people start to realize that, there is other things on the other side that want to be seen, that want to be heard, that's what's going to make the difference. Because people, like we said earlier, things are going to start to come unlocked, and they're going to start using that intuition again, and they're going to start hearing them, they're going to start seeing them, they're going to start, focusing on that craft that they have. It'll blow up. I'll guarantee you, it's going to come back.
So, so I think, in my opinion, and Brian, you can touch base on this. So, in my opinion, there's two things to me that I think has caused the drama, if that's the word you want to use. One is everybody thinks they're a paracelebrity now. Everybody wants to be on TV. Not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm talking in general terms. So everybody is a celebrity now, and then the other thing is kind of along the same lines. Some of the, and I won't even say a lot. There's a few of the old timers like me. They think that they've earned their spot, and they think the younger ones are trying to take their spot. And it should be about that. I mean, I enjoy training the new people. So exactly. Yeah, but those are kind of like the two big theories of what causes the drama: is jealousy and wanting to be a celebrity. What do you think that's the two big reasons? Or
I think a lot of people, and I'm not going to mention names at all. I know several teams. They say, "Oh, well, we've been doing it so long. We need to hire up. We need to be on TV. We need to do this. We need to do that." To me, I don't care to be on TV. I don't care if someone tries to pay me money, because what I do is volunteer anyway, and I'm just trying to help that person out or whatnot. And I'd rather teach and give them the evidence that they want, or the evidence that they deserve. I don't care about that, but a lot of teams do, and I don't. I mean, that's to hear their own.
There's a lot of teams out there that just think that, well, if we go do this, we can make a lot of this. So they're all about the money. They're all about the production. They're all about getting everything handed to them for basically nothing and making a paycheck out of it. And in my eye, that's making a mockery out of the craft.
Exactly.
Paying to go to these spots. They're being paid to go. This spot's already paid for by a company or by a TV, whatever studio. It's all paid for them. We're paying for this out of our pockets, and we're doing this for the love of it, for the truth of it all. Yep. And them guys, it's gone to their head. And that's what's ruining it for, in my eye, that's what's ruining it for the little groups like us that want to keep it real, legit, and do it for the love of it, not for the bankroll of it. And that's what, I'll just stop right there before I get aggravated with it. Because
I don't want to drill too much on the drama, because I think it is finally starting to get better. And like you said, it's important that we discuss it. And you were talking about people who want to be. The sad thing is, some of these newer people, don't even they don't give a shit at all about paranormal. They just see it as a way to be a celebrity. And those people need to get the hell out of the paranormal field.
I agree.
But see, in our eye, we earn that right. We earn that. Our trophy at the end of the day is the evidence that we found. We did it the right way, the old school way. Okay.
Well, here's the truth.
Everybody else is doing it for a participation award.
Yeah, here's a true story about me and my team. So we had a couple people contact us last year with the opportunity to do a couple of TV episodes. And at first, I was like, of course, I was intrigued by it. But at first, I was like, no, I don't think we want to do it. And the reason I said that originally was because there is so much fake and bullshit out there. I didn't want my reputation tied into that. And then I discussed it with a few of my people, two of my friends, including Jimmy and some other people, and I made the decision that that's the reason for me to do it. There is so much fake out there. It would be good to get some. It'd be good to get some real in there. So we actually we had the producer follow us last weekend in our episode, and we're actually getting ready to film 2 episodes for TV. So so I'm excited
Jimmy
about
Ricker's
that.
my brother, man.
Yeah, that's our buddy. Yeah, that's our brother from another mother.
Jimmy's a good guy. We're actually about at my time, but I got a couple of what I call like a rapid fire round. So we'll get at least one of those done. If we get both done, I don't know. But so the first one is we're going to discuss the different kinds of hauntings, the different kinds of activity, and you just tell us what you think about those, if you've experienced it, that kind of stuff. The first kind we'll go with is and yes, I mean, your animal, especially dogs, or can can pick up spirits. Yes, so kind of like the same thing with kids. So like if your dog barks at something that you don't think's there, you might want to investigate a little bit more. And if your kid's talking about an imaginary friend, you may want to ask a few more questions. So here we go. The first kind of haunting that we're going to talk about is residual hauntings. So a residual haunting, for the people out there in the peanut gallery, a residual haunting is said to be like a video loop that just keeps repeating. So what's your guys' take on residual? Have you had any experience with them?
We've had plenty of experience with residual hauntings.
God, yes.
At the same every night at the same time. It's the same thing. Yeah. And they're stuck in there. They can't get out of it.
Loop.
Just a big old loop.
A glitch in the matrix.
Yep.
Exactly.
So I've had a few, a few. So what's interesting about residual haunting is most people kind of consider residual the most common haunting. Mm-hmm. But I had a guest last season. She brought up a point that maybe intelligent hauntings are actually the most common, because with intelligent, we're actually interacting with them, so we know they're there. So that's kind of my gateway, because that's what we're going to talk about now. How about an intelligent haunting?
Well, go ahead. Well,
you go ahead.
Well, it comes back to the residual that you're just talking about. There's that loop, like you said, the matrix loop. It could be the same thing every night, but yet there's always something just a little different at each point, at each time. And it's just like, I don't know how.
Laura's actually correct on that.
I mean, yeah, well, they don't know they're dead. Yeah, true.
A lot of them don't.
They don't always, yeah. That was going to be my point. And I won't say all of them, but some of them. And yeah, it's definitely common. Yeah,
yeah, it is very common. I would say more of that being common than the residual.
Yeah.
And the other thing people have to realize is, contrary to what you see on TV, a spirit can actually cross over whenever they want to. Sometimes they don't know that, but we can't cross people over. We might be able to help push them that way or show them that way, but they can leave whenever they want to. So to me, that's our main purpose. If we're doing a residential investigation, we have to figure out why they choose to still be there. Sometimes it's because they don't know they're dead, so they just continue on with their thing. So yeah, definitely.
You know, sometimes
So-
they actually know that they're stuck, and they're trying to find a way out. So a lot of times they're trying to ask for help by a knock,
Right.
by a scream, by a whistle, by throwing something, you know. And I mean, it's just a matter of how you perceive it.
Finished business.
Yes.
So an interesting case I had. We got called in by the state police, believe it or not, to investigate this road that's supposedly always been haunted. And I'm going to make this a long story short type thing. So there was 2 spirits there, and I was able to communicate with both of them. One was it was a boyfriend and girlfriend, teenagers that got killed in a car wreck. It's based, and they were still on this road. And the long story short was the girl was still there, trying to find her boyfriend because she wanted to cross over together. The boyfriend was actually still there because he didn't want to cross over because he knew where he was going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what he told him. We found him and we're like, well, Amanda is waiting for you to cross over. And he's like, well, tell her I appreciate that, but I'm not going there, so she needs to cross over.
Right.
Yeah. We've ran into a couple of them, but
Yeah. You'll be surprised at how many actual are really smart when it comes to stuff like that.
So our next kind of activity is a malicious spirit. And notice I said malicious, not demonic. And like I said earlier, when it comes to malicious spirits, my opinion is, and that I can't be an expert, but I have been doing this for 33 years and over 1,000 investigations in my. So I'm definitely entitled to my opinion. So my opinion is, if you were a dickhead when you were alive, you're going to be a dickhead when you're a spirit. So to me, that's what a malicious spirit is. So what's your guys' take on a malicious spirit?
I would actually say you're right on the button there.
Yeah.
You're going to be an ass
Yep.
in real. You're going to be an ass in the afterlife.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Exactly. And unfortunately, we have people who, whenever they run into a malicious spirit, they're like, it's demon, it's a demon, the hell with that. And I'm not saying there's not demonic spirits. I'm saying that's the minority. I'm talking about less than 1%.
Yeah.
Less than 1%. And you know, and I'm actually a trained demonologist, if that's the term you want to use. I was trained by Bishop Long, you know,
Okay.
who's so I'm just, because I like to be educated. I have a degree in parapsychology, I have a Bible degree, and I have a demonology training. So most of the time it's not a demon. I'm actually working on my first book, and the title of my first book is "Don't Buy Generic Batteries," and it's probably not a demon. The memoirs of Paranormal Addicts. Let's talk about like a elemental.
That I have not ran into yet.
What was?
Elemental.
No, I know, man. I haven't. Run
I
into it.
personally have not ran into one.
I think elementals. Well, again, I'm not dismissing them, but I've never ran into one either. If the people that I trust and know that have ran into them, they actually say that they would rather deal with a demon than an elemental, because with a demon, at least you know how to work with it, how to attack it, whatever.
Right.
And with elemental, it's harder. So yeah, and then you know when you're using the term elemental, what you have to realize, you're also talking about like Bigfoot, and you know that there's people who think who theorize that Bigfoot's more of an elemental spirit than he is a cryptid. So
Right.
that's just a whole bag of worms to open up. So here's our last one. Yes, they say demons to get views, and I'm about to say it twice. See how many views I can get. So the next one we're going to talk about is demon, run! It's a demon.
You rang.
so
I've been called a demon a few times, but
So I think one of the reasons my podcast has been so successful lately is my personality. What do you guys think?
I love it, man.
Oh, yeah.
You would fit along. You would fit perfectly.
So just talking about demons, I think we've all pretty well just agreed that they're out there, but it's a minority. Even taking the religious standpoint, because demon spirits exist in Native American culture. A demon is it was never human. That's what people have to understand. A demon was a non-human spirit.
Yep.
So everybody's like, well, that ghost is a demon. I was like, first of all, it can't be a ghost and a demon because the ghost was once a human. So people need to get their facts right. But interesting though, a good friend of mine, Sarah, when she was my guest last year, she explained to me that like the people who tune in to watch Sam and Kobe or all these other ones, the demon, they're not the same people that's going to tune in to see my videos.
Right.
Because they're tuning in to be entertained. They're not tuning in to see what it's really like. So as much as they get on our nerves and as much as we could do without them, I guess they really do serve a purpose.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to admit.
It all depends on how one wants to look at it. If you think about it.
I want to tell Kobe, he's the one with the blonde hair. I want to let him know. I want to let him know when I was a teenager and in my late 20s, I used to have beautiful curvy blonde hair, and I used to look like Zach Morris off of Saved by the Bell. So I want to tell him to enjoy it while he can, because it may not always be because now I got a radio face. You know what a radio face is?
Yep.
Oh yeah, join the club, bud. Yeah, I'm going to be 57 this year. I've been doing this for quite a bit myself, and I'll tell you what, I've gotten to the point now to where my hair is starting to go to the top of my head, and it's a part in the back getting longer. So I feel that my intelligence is going to be far enough behind me to where it's going to have to play catch up by the time I'm going to be a spirit.
Yeah. So true story, and I don't know how it actually connects, but I did usually really have really pretty blonde hair. Like I was a jock and stuff in high school, and and so people told me I was a real life Zach Morris because that's just the way I was. I was actually kind of a combination of Zach and Slater. But then I went in.
I was the metalhead. I was the metalhead jock.
And then I went in the Army and they shaved off my hair and it just didn't come back.
Well, see, that's what you call now. You call that, right? Since you ain't got the hair now, you just call that a knowledge knot.
It's right here now.
There you go.
Army.
I figure what I've lost on top, I've gained right here, and it keeps on coming back.
I just tell the ladies, I'm not bored. It's just a solar cell panel for a sex symbol.
Oh my God!
You just got hit. The headboard just hit you too hard.
There you go.
Okay, so let's move on. I mean, that was fun. I enjoyed it. This is my podcast, guys. It's just me hanging out with my people. I mean,
exactly.
we just met, but you guys are already my friends. Make sure you send me friend requests.
I sure will, man.
Yeah. When I do mine.
I mean, really, any friend of Jimmy's is a friend of mine. I'm sure he said the same thing about me.
Yep.
At least I hope he did.
Podcast. I'll make sure I get you info sent to it from my paranormal side of life.
Give me a minute.
You're good.
So I do a podcast as well.
Right there, Bill.
And I do one myself, and it's called the Paranormal Side of Life. And I'll tell you what, I've had Jimmy and Olive on there, and Scott. You'll have to excuse me. I just got out of the hospital a day or two ago, so still a little bit sore from being in.
It's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, I do one here on TikTok as well. It's called Paranormal Side of Life. And I've had Beyond the Grave on there. I've had Jimmy on there. We've had a couple other people on. So I'll make sure that you get informed when I go to do mine. And it's the same way. We talk about rapid fire everything. Whatever it is, we're going to discuss it. Get it all out in the open. People can understand exactly what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, and if you ever need a guest, hit me up. I'll be glad to come on. I used to do so. Like I said, I've been doing this for 33 years, but I lost 3 years because I had brain surgery, and I had brain and spine surgery. So before my brain and spine surgery, I used to do the Paracon circuit and all that stuff, and I've not done that since I came back because I developed a little bit of a stutter after the brain surgery. So other people I don't even notice it, but I notice it, so it bothers me.
Right.
But I'm actually starting to get back out there, or at least trying to get back out there. So definitely, I would definitely be happy to be on.
Brother, you know it. You're on it. You're on it. Consider yourself welcome any damn time.
All right, I'll consider myself on that. So, and I also plan a Paracon every year. This is my 4th year. So obviously this year I'm booked as far as speakers. But if you guys want to come up and set up a table and do it, you guys can join. You guys can come up for free. Just let me know. It's September 27th.
That's after my birthday. Mine's on the 19th of September.
That's a good day. It's the 3rd Saturday of September, which is National Ghost Hunting Day. So
right.
Yeah,
back in the day, everybody used to hit me up. I used to go. See, I'm a big gearhead. I love cars. I love drag racing. I love it all. Music is my passion. So back in the day, I used to do radio stations up in Toledo. Used to hit me up, want me to come over. I'd dress up as Wolfman Jack, and I'd go out there and do the car shows for them. Or when I was doing the radio show that I have on Facebook, a buddy of mine found an old video of me doing a Wolfman thing. So he had me do the voice on my show, and then everybody started wanting me to do them. And now, since I've gotten older, my voice is starting to get crackly, just like it is now. So it's like, yeah, okay. So I throw that in there, and since I do the podcast, Jimmy, I did it one night for Jimmy when he was out with us down Southern Ohio, and he goes, "Damn, boy, you sound just like him." You do. I was like, okay, cool. So I did it. And all the lights started lighting up on his tripwire he had, and one area of the place we was at, and I literally watched the lights go from me go all the way out. As questions were asked, they would come right on back. You come right back out. You come right on back. And we found this section that had this little room had all these pictures that kids drew. And it was some messed up stuff on these pictures that these little kids had drawn. And Jimmy was even shocked by it. And it takes a lot to get Jimmy shocked by things. Yeah, he was shocked. You have your seat back. I'll take the way. But yeah, it was remember the one room we had all the pictures on the foam boards that the kids drew in the one little room off to the side.
They were all like real scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was pictures of demons, ghosts, there was one like a shadow on the ceiling over a bed, over a kid laying in a bed. Oh yes, it was some messed up stuff.
So Amanda wants to know what's the most frightening experiences you guys have had. I'll let you guys go first, and I'll throw mine out there.
Always Village for me was the first. The doctor's office the first time when I got. I was live. I was actually live on my Facebook page, and I was walking through the doctor's office, and I was showing everybody, the instruments that they used. Okay, back in the day. Well, if you remember how they used to knock people out? Big wads of cotton and the ether and the little cup put over her face, right? I got to that point, don't remember nothing. But I was scratched. I had 4 or 5 different claw marks going down my back, on my chest. I looked like a bite on my arm. I had my hair pulled. These guys all heard me. They was coming. Ryan and one of the other guys on our team was coming from the battlefield, and heard me all the way up in camp at the doctor's office. Heard me laughing, crying, squealing. And I was on the front porch. Every time we go up there, that doctor is a love-hate relationship between me and that doctor's office. Because I'm always alive. So it's always doable. And it's like we've seen that was my first incident there. The latest one that I had, it was they was going to build a fort, the Fort Defiance. There. And it's almost identical to Fort Meigs up in Toledo. Almost identical to it. But they never got to build the fort, but they got the ground laid out, right, where it's going to set. And you go up there in the middle of the evening, and you hear, it sounds like stumps in formation, like a cadence walk, you know what I'm saying? You'll hear running coming up behind you. You'll turn and nobody's there, but you'll feel it like a breeze go right by you at that same point. That will get somebody. It always does. It always catches me off guard. I think the last time I saw Ryan get anything happen with him, it was at one of the asylums. He was in the attic, and they had there's chains on the wall. And there was a chair like this, you know. There's a ring that had a chain going through it with, like I said, a cup, and they would have people chained to the wall up in the attic. And he had just left the attic and went back up, and the chains were swinging. No fan, no breeze, no nothing, but the chains were swinging over the chair. He came out. He was kind of taken by it.
So yeah, I mean, you know, the thing I tell people all the time, you know, they ask what the most frightening, you know, it can be scary, but you know, when I tell people, we don't go in there for like a thrill, you know, we go in there, you know, for education, to help people, you know, so, you know, the scariest experience I ever had, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details about it because I've talked about it a couple of times in the show, and is, you know, I said I've never went to a place that I would actually say was demonic, but we did a residential in Indiana, which is another reason I don't go into details in it, because it was a residential. And when it comes to residential, we don't post videos, we don't post pictures, because it's all about helping the family. But we got a call from the in-laws to come investigate this place. It had been the location for a murder-suicide. And even in the police report, the theory was that the husband had started practicing or attempting to practice devil worship and stuff. So the family called us up there to investigate it. And the first thing is, it was probably still too fresh. It had only been like 6 weeks since the murder-suicide. So we probably should have waited a little bit longer. And but yeah, we got up there, and like the blood stain was still where he killed the kids, and the blood stain was still. And when you went into the walk-in closet, there was a place you could tell that got cut out with like a carpet knife or an X-Acto knife or something like that. And when you peeled it back, you had to peel back the carpet and the pad. The guy had attempted to draw a pentagram. Yeah. So it was pretty frightening. And the first thing you have to realize, getting there was like it was like a scene from a Stephen King movie. So the first thing you had to do, you had to go in.
That's our train. I'm sorry. I gotta explain it real quick. We got a train track. I'm so sorry. We got a train track that runs right directly behind our house. And then there's another one on the opposite block in front of the house. So I apologize. That just happened to come at the same time. And your face.
The first thing that popped in my head was the movie Seven. The movie Seven with Brad Pitt, when Morgan Freeman came in there and he was like, "This is our vibrating apartment." I was like, "What the heck was that?"
we started talking about the time he started asking the question, that damn train blaring out there. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I got to stop you, but I got to explain. We got a train behind us. We got a train on the other side.
Yeah.
And as soon as he started talking, it hit. So it's like I had to apologize real fast. But I'm sorry.
As I was saying, so you get there, the famous Crybaby Bridge there in Indiana, the one with the mother. So we had to go underneath it, and then 2 miles down the road was the house that we went to. Well, catty corner or diagonal from the house was an abandoned 1860 cemetery.
Right.
So it was just like a thing it was just like, the perfect element. So anyway, so we're going to get off here. We're about 30 minutes over my time, but that's okay. Nobody's going to fire me. So Ryan and Bill, just tell everybody what you guys got going on, how to find you guys, how to find your podcast, just that kind of stuff. And then we will.
Yeah. And if you just want to look up our
End of Days Paranormal.
End of Days Paranormal, that's fine with us. I have 2 Facebooks, my personal and then our team. So
right, and you can also look me up at Bill Fritz. It's FRITTS on Facebook. If you want to say questions or what have you, or comments, just hit me up on Facebook or on TikTok. Same thing. And the podcast that I do is called The Paranormal Side of Life. And, of course, you're going to be there.
And, Amanda, the only answer to your question is it's paranormal, so there's no explanation.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, that might sound like a cop-out answer, but it's a true answer. If you can't explain it, that means it's paranormal.
Oh, yeah,
yep.
100%.
Yep.
So as always, guys, first of all, my guest next week is Jack Heen. You guys might know him from Haunted Hospitals, all that stuff. He's my guest next week. As always, Paranormal Addicts podcast is live on Fridays, supposedly at 6 Central, 7 Eastern. Sometimes we have hiccups like today, but it worked out good. I've enjoyed it. And then you can always go to our YouTube channel and watch all of our past episodes. And for the people who prefer to listen to me and not look at me, which I'm sure there's a lot of you out there, you can always you're
just a sexy mofo.
Yeah.
Oh God! There he goes. There he goes.
So you can find us on Spotify. Ryan and Bill, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you jumping on last minute.
Anytime. I'm glad we can help you out.
And I look forward to being on you guys' podcast. And we'll get you guys back on here. I booked it to October, but we'll get you back on here so we can do like an episode we're prepared for. I don't think we can prepare for this, but so.
Hey,
thanks.
It worked out fine, man. It worked out fine.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Appreciate it.